pat yourself on the back because you are right here, right now, for a reason. Welcome to the On Purpose podcast, where together we will empower ourselves and others to live lives with more passion and purpose. How you doing this morning, Jared?
I'm fantastic, Ali. How are you, my friend?
I'm fantastic as well, man. Feeling great. Just came back from the mountains, a little recharge with the family, and feeling fantastic.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited, man. We're about a week away from Christmas, one of my favorite times of the year. I just love the lights. I love the music. I love the spirit of the people. So this is definitely one of my times that I just kind of like sit back and just enjoy things.
Yeah, the gift of giving, right?
Yeah.
Now you can give a really badass gift, your official book.
I know, that's nuts. I should have brought a copy, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, I have one in my car.
Dude, it's still kind of surreal to actually think that I actually finished that book. And that's the thing I'm probably most proud of, is not necessarily like writing the book or I hope the book does well, but just the completion of how much time and energy it takes to actually write a book.
Yeah. I'm through 2 chapters and excited to get through the rest,
Well,
man.
I appreciate you reading it and look forward to your thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. So this is episode 40.
Wow.
40. I'm super excited to jump into this one. We really appreciate all the support along the way, and excited to continue on, especially with featuring some guests in 2020 next year.
Yeah, we're excited to kind of launch again, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. 40 episodes, and we started this thing, I think, in March of 2019. It's just something that we thought was possible, and something that we believed in, but we didn't have any proof. We didn't know for sure. And I think that's a good lesson for a lot of people, is sometimes we can get paralyzed by looking for the certain things or knowing there's guarantees. Sometimes you just got to give it a shot.
Yeah.
So here we are 40 episodes later. We're grateful for the community and all the people that trust us and continue to show up with us weekly. And we're excited for where this goes.
Yeah, definitely. So last week's Purposeful practice was from our Clarity Through Consequence episode, and I shared a little bit through my recent story with having some clarity through disrupting what was pretty much a daily habit of consuming cannabis, and really reflected on that. Had a few friends who were very associated in the industry reach out and like, "Whoa, man, are you quitting weed? Like, what's going on?" And it was interesting to get some reactions from there, and it made me reflect on, no matter what the habit is or the ritual is, it's always good to disconnect, even if it's something that is very beneficial for you to be doing. It's always good to take a break, even from, like, let's say a daily workout routine. Giving the body a break, really being able to recharge and disconnect from something daily kind of lets you see what life without that looks like. And for me, it brought me clarity, and also brought me more appreciation for the cannabis plant. And I'm actually reading a book right now called The Cannabis Manifesto by they call him the godfather of cannabis, Stephen D'Angelo. And really how, our ancestors used it specifically for many ailments, for specific treatments, and prepared it differently to where I think it's easy to abuse sometimes, and also to get into a habit of consistently using cannabis that can, at least for me, disrupt a little bit of the clarity. So it was definitely a good experience. I learned and just appreciated a lot more now, and it was definitely a good episode.
And what did anybody, like, from your family and stuff, reach out to you? Were they surprised by that one, or?
My mother was like, "Oh, good." She kind of did one of those, even though I've never been very open and like smoking.
But she's
in front
a
of my
mom. She knows.
Right.
Yeah.
So she's like, good. So that was kind of funny.
That's hilarious.
She was happy.
Yeah, I think cannabis is one of those things that's easy for a lot of us to fall into, just like anything else, if a little bit's good, then if I do a whole lot, it's got to be better.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's over exercising, super strict on a diet, whatever the case would be. So it's an easy trap for people to fall into. And I think you're absolutely right. Every now and then disconnect and kind of let your body just reset and see where you truly need to be.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I figured you'd be getting some feedback on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a good one.
Yeah, I'm glad, man. It's good to share, and that's what we're here for, team. Like we've said the whole time, that we're going through this journey right alongside you. This is not us sitting up here telling you, do this, don't do that. Like we're gonna do different things. Some of it'll work, some's not gonna work, and we're gonna grow right alongside the On Purpose community. And I'm excited. It's hard to believe we're wrapping up 2019, 40 episodes, a ton of experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of got me thinking for today's episode is being in the holiday spirit and celebrating Christmas, which has always been one of my favorite times. I really started thinking, like, what are we celebrating? Right? Obviously, you got the birth of Jesus. And you're very much more versed in religions than I am. Other religions are celebrating different aspects of things. But what I really thought we're celebrating is the struggle behind those stories. Right? Like Jesus was born and led a life of struggle to share thoughts, to share beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's technically his birthday. But his whole story has been based on struggle, and almost every religion is based on struggle, right? The stories of struggle and overcoming struggles and persevering. And it really got me thinking, what if we took a moment in this time of year to reflect on our own struggles and kind of celebrate them more instead of wishing our struggle was over?
Yeah, I don't think that, at least I don't really see Christmas as a celebration of struggle. I really don't. To me now, it's been more of just the holidays.
Yeah,
It's
but
just
no,
something
I
you
agree.
kind
I
of do.
think the vast majority see it as well. There's a lot of people that see it as a complete stressor now,
Mm-hmm.
right? The expectation to give gifts, the expectation to spend more money than they have, and so that's what I'm saying. What if we stop for a minute, and if when I was really thinking, like, what are we truly celebrating? I think if you look at the deep cause, like, why do we celebrate these people? Why are religions celebrated? Why do people practice? It's because people shared their struggle stories in there,
Mm-hmm.
and you learn from it, and you persevere, and you were able to apply it. So for me, I love celebrating Christmas and a celebration, but I think it's also a time, it could be a time that we reflect back on the fact that it's not commercial. It's not about buying all the fanciest stuff and the Black Fridays and all that craziness, but it's really about, what if we took it and we said, hey, we're going to celebrate our struggles and how we're still here.
Yeah.
The struggles we've had over the year, and we're still here at the end of the year.
Right.
What if we took that approach?
Well, let's see. How would you celebrate? What struggles would you celebrate this year, and how would you celebrate those for Christmas?
I think it's first off, I think it's a mindset shift, right? Instead of being like, okay, there's only a week left. I literally saw a meme today on some sort of social media that was like, there's only a week left in 2019. Oh, can't wait for it to be over. And I'm like, what? With that attitude, why would 2020 be different?
Right.
Like, if you're literally just waiting for this to be over, okay, why would you expect difference? So I think it's kind of cool to stop and look back and go, okay, what are the struggles in my life that have gotten me here?
Right.
And not just this year, but over my life. Like, literally, your whole episode last week was a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Clarity through consequence. That's a struggle,
Yeah.
right? Reading my book. You're reading a book you just said you read chapter 2 about Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
That was a huge struggle in my life. The loss of my very first best friend with no explanation.
Mm-hmm.
As you read in the book, those of you that haven't got it, get the copy. But he was literally my best friend. We hung out every day. And then one day I come home and his house is empty.
That's crazy.
And
I
he's
read that.
gone.
I was like, dang, that must have been a crazy
Right, so
feeling
there's
as a
no,
kid.
like, going away party. There's no like, hey, tell Johnny goodbye. You will never see him again. It's literally like gone. So that's a struggle. And over my life, I'll be honest, for many years, I probably didn't get many friends because I just didn't quite understand that process.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is that what friends do? They just leave and you never hear from them again?
Mm-hmm. So
And
you're a lot more guarded.
for sure, a lot more guarded and a lot more just, I was like, I'm just not going to meet people. I'm just going to stay to myself because it's easier that way.
Mm-hmm.
But then as I progressed through life, I realized, like, okay, that's cheating me. But you grow through that struggle. And I think that's where I hope people see is your struggles become your strengths. Right? And what was a struggle of the heart, the pain, and seeing him go also eventually allowed me to be able to make friends in a lot of places, to go in and strike up conversations with strangers because I didn't have a lot of friends.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's a strength, right? Now I can go public speak. Now I can go into different groups and fit in and not be apprehensive about it. But I think too many times we're conditioned to see our struggles as something to run away from, to hide from, or to feel like, oh, I just want this over. Yeah, no, I don't want to stay in struggle my whole life, but I understand if the moment I'm in struggle, there's something I'm supposed to learn from this. There's something I'm supposed to enjoy from this. There's something that's going to come out good on the backside of struggle. But for many times we push it away. We're just looking to let's get rid of this as fast as possible so I can get to the next thing. Well, the next thing is only going to be as great as it could be because of the struggle, if you embrace it and you learn from it.
Yeah, and I mean it goes for everything. Perfect example. Yesterday, my assistant Jenna, we joined Toastmasters, and she struggles with public speaking.
Yeah.
And last week when we went for the first time, she said, "I'm not talking, I'm not saying anything." But in Toastmasters, they ask you to stand up and introduce yourself, and at the end, give a sentence or two about what you thought of the meeting. And she did it. She went through that struggle, even though afterwards she told me like, "Oh, my heart was beating. I hated every moment of it. It was so hard." And even after we had agreed, oh, we're going to join, she started making excuses of, oh, I don't want to join. Like, I don't think BNL should waste money because sometimes on Mondays I feel nauseous and I don't want to miss meetings. And, just throwing out all the excuses in the book. And I was like, oh, that's okay. We'll go through that. And she went again yesterday, got to talk a little bit more. And she's finally starting to see, like, if she pushes through that struggle, on the other end, there's going to be that success. And just like everything, I mean, yesterday practice, 16-minute flow rounds,
Yeah.
we're all exhausted and struggling. But in any concept, whether it's public speaking, fitness, business, family, having those critical conversations, pushing through that struggle on the other side is success, is happiness. So I think celebration of struggle is a good concept because we don't, even the word struggle it's not a sexy word, right?
Right.
We don't look for struggle. We don't seek hardship. But just like in last week's episode, Consequence Through Clarity, if you're not seeking that out, the universe is going to find a way to give you some struggle.
Yeah.
If you're not bringing in your own struggle, if you're not going to the gym, if you're not pushing yourself in your relationships, if you're not pushing, especially if you're trying to attract and manifest that next level, without the struggle, the universe will find a way to bring it to you, just like it did for me.
And how do you get to the next level? Right? Like the next level is only possible when you struggle to get there.
Right.
Like think about it. I don't know anybody that gets to the next level and they're like, I don't know how I got here. It was just easy. I just showed up.
Yeah.
No, it's day after day. Like, okay, I'm pushing through today. Okay, what did I learn? Now I apply it tomorrow. And then I apply it and it compounds.
Mm-hmm.
But we're so averse to struggling. We're so adverse to what I call the pain.
Yeah.
That we're always either staying comfortable or we're looking for routes around the pain when I'm telling you the pain and the struggle is actually what provides your power.
I think we need to redefine those words. We need a new word in the English language for it because the connotation for pain and struggle is negative. But if we learn to love the struggle and embrace the struggle and appreciate the struggle, that's when we'll really succeed. I mean, it's like Coach Ryan always says, start smiling when you're dead tired. There's a smile on, like when you're dead tired, put a smile, enjoy it, because when you're there, you're getting better. You know that your opponent's even more tired than you are. Put a smile on, enjoy it. Enjoy being there close to your breaking point when you can hear your quit in the back of your head, because that's the place you want to go to. I
Right.
think if we had like a nicer, sexier word for pain, struggle, like that puts an appreciation around it, maybe we wouldn't be so struggle and pain avoidant.
Maybe. But the other word that comes to mind there is you got pain, you got struggle, you got failure. Right? Because if I'm struggling, it means I'm probably not having success right away. So I'm having little small failures. Why don't we celebrate failure? Why don't we celebrate coming up short, because we know what we learned in that process will now lead to success? Right? Like if you look back to all the great inventors, they didn't invent it the first time. How many times did Thomas Edison have to do the light bulb?
Yeah, it was like 10,000 or something.
Thousands.
Yeah.
But he grew and grew and grew from the failures. But if you think about it, when's the last time a business brought together people with a nice cake and some light snacks to celebrate coming up short, to celebrate a failure? When's the last time your boss came in and said, hey, that was a great idea, it didn't quite work out, but man, thank you for thinking about it, let's change? No, right? We have this idea that if we take risks, we try new things, if we fail, it's bad. But you can only grow once you fail.
That's an interesting idea.
Right, think about it, like in
Celebrate
practice.
failure like that.
Well, let me ask, like in practice or in life, if you only do the things you're good at all the time, you've just put a box around yourself. That's your potential. That's all you can be. But how do you expand it? Well, you try new things. And maybe when you try new things, you come up short. Maybe you get submitted by somebody that shouldn't submit you. But you were trying something new, so that's a gain. That's a net positive. But as we age in life and as we try to live our lives for all the people that are around us and doing what everybody else expects us to do, a lot of times we narrow our own potential into a box and we just play to our strengths over and over and over, which is fine if that's where you want to be. But if you're trying to get to a new level, you're going to have to try. You're going to have to risk failure. You're going to have to try different strategies, different techniques. Put yourself in Toastmasters. Put yourself in different groups where you're uncomfortable, because that facilitates your growth. And I really hope that people listen and think like, okay, in 2020, let's think back to the struggles we've had. Let's embrace the ones for this year. And then let's look forward to struggling in 2020. Let's look forward to having some failures.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited, man. I got piano lessons. I'm already struggling
you're already
with that.
doing it, man.
I'm already struggling with that. Learning Arabic. I'm looking forward to these struggles, and it's humbling. And I think everybody needs to always have something that they're being humbled in. You know, if you're not doing at least one little activity that is really challenging you, that you're not good at, then you're not growing. You know, like you said, it's easy to
sure.
stick around with the easy things. I mean, look, you did a book this year.
Yeah.
Like, that was huge. I'm sure there was
Scary
so
as
many
hell.
times where you're thinking, like, is this the right way to, you know, am I supposed to try and knock out a page a day? Am I doing it right? I mean, I can already think of so many ideas that would come in my head and trying to write a book. Because I was looking at yours and I was like, oh, like if I write a book one day, and I was like, I wonder how he did this and this and that and that, to where it's we need to have that struggle, that adversity. So no, I agree. Is there a struggle that you have been through that you now look back fondly on?
Yeah,
that you,
I love
like,
it. It
really...
happened in April of this past year. So you guys that have been with us for a while know I went against a lot of people's advice, my financial people's advice, some of my peers, and I retired early from police work simply because I didn't want to do it anymore. I wanted to chase happiness, and that wasn't providing me. I just wasn't happy doing it. And I have a couple different businesses, and in April, there was a week in April that Andrea and I literally lived our dream life. We were on the road together. She was doing her business. I was doing my business. We were spending good time. We got to see people we hadn't seen in a while. I made more money in 3 days than I make in 2 months as a policeman.
Nice.
And I was like, man, we got this. Right? Like literally, April's literally 4 months after I retired, and I just knocked out 2 months of salary in 3 days. And I had more on the schedule. So I'm like, oh man, every month I'm so far ahead of this.
Yeah.
And then the world wanted me to learn that like this is possible, but you're not ready. So then I literally didn't make one more dollar for the rest of the year.
Wow.
From April through today, I haven't made one more dollar in that venture.
Wow.
And I think that was truly a lesson of, okay, this is what's available if you're willing to sacrifice and do all the things, but you're going to have to kind of show us how committed you are. You're going to have to show us, and us, I'm talking about the universe, like whatever's watching you, whatever you believe in, they want you to earn it. And so I was like, okay, so I was mad. I spent a couple months being like, why is this happening? I even thought about going, should I go back to police work like that? Why did this happen? And then I thought, okay, what am I supposed to learn? And I literally sat down and I wrote down, okay, April, this happened. Here's the things that have happened since. Class canceled, class canceled, class canceled. Nobody showed up, class canceled. Okay, why did this happen? And the realization I had is I thought I could control my market when I left police work. And I scheduled my classes what was convenient for me. I only want to do one a month because I don't want to travel too much. And that's like, dude, you're pretty arrogant. Like, you literally thought you're going to jump from government to private business and set your schedule based on what was good for you. And the reality is you overlooked what was good for your consumer. So I was like, okay, how do I fix this? Well, not to get too much into details, but that specific business I run is paid for by agencies so that they're on government budget cycles.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, well, I need to stack heavy in the first quarter of the year because every agency has money. By the third quarter of the year, they've overspent. They have crises come up that cost money. So I learned. But had I not actually stopped and be like, okay, I'm thankful for this struggle. I'm thankful that I know what's possible. Now, I'm thankful for why it didn't happen. What do I learn from here? It took the emotion away, right? It took the personal, I'm a failure. I'm a loser. I'm not enough. I can't do it. And it was like, no. You're clearly capable. You just made a mistake. You did something wrong. And I think maybe that's where people have a big hang up with their struggles is they don't want to admit they did something wrong. And the reality is I made a mistake. I made a strategic, fundamental business mistake. It won't happen in 2020, guaranteed. But had I not struggled in 2019, I wouldn't learn that lesson. Or if I wasn't open to learning whatever lesson what was this supposed to teach me, I would have missed it. And then guess what? Your ego gets in the way. You don't think you're at fault. You don't learn the lesson. Guess what happens in 2020? Same cycle. Because I didn't learn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And financial is a great way. You talk about an incentive to make some change and to really be honest with yourself. Don't make money for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, hear that. And what do you think was the best thing that you learned from that situation?
Twofold. One, I am capable. Like, I saw it work. I know my business model works. And two, the second thing I learned is I can't run that portion of my business on what's convenient to me. So I know there's going to be a season in a year that I'm going to go heavy into that area and probably have to neglect a couple other things, and then I'll come back and get those when that area is slower. Right? Like, so on, business cycle or budget cycles, the first quarter of the year, I'm going to go heavy here because I know everybody's going to have money to pay for the program. Then later in the year, when I know they don't have money for that program, I'll switch and go off to my other stuff. But it also taught me the value of having multiple streams of income. Yeah. Which is a huge thing because my whole life, I was a policeman. So I literally, it's weird because they talk about security, right? Like, you're 100%, it's good pay, it's good benefits, but it's one source. One bad thing happens to that job and you don't have pay for a while. What other avenues do you have to take care of yourself? So I learned the value of having multiple streams of income, especially as a businessman.
Right. Yeah, and that's a lot of pressure, as a husband, a father, you got a family, you got a mortgage. I mean,
yeah,
that's a lot to have.
But it makes it worthwhile.
Yeah.
And again, is it scary? Yes. Is it always comfortable? No. But at the end of the day, man, I have one life. And is it worth the apprehension? Is it worth the butterflies? Is it worth the nerves to know that I'm actually living this on my terms? That I'm actually dictating my life instead of just sitting back and staying comfortable doing what I've always done? To me, it's worth it. But there's a cost. And it's humility. It's knowing you failed. admitting you failed, figuring out solutions, and moving forward. And I think we got to take back some of that power, right? Like, my struggle is only my power if I learn from it. I think for many people, their struggle becomes their handcuffs
Excuses.
because they don't learn, right? So
So
then they have now an excuse why they're not where they want to be because this happened. Well, no, you're not there, not because that happened, but because you didn't learn from it. You didn't take it and own it, make changes and move on.
so how do you? I've always struggled with these sayings sometimes of, your pain is your power, or your struggle is your strength, and
Yeah.
stuff like this. So in this example, how would you, because you wouldn't want to say that, I'm going to play devil's advocate here,
Yeah.
of like, living with no income is now my strength, right? That was a
No.
struggle that you
That's
had,
awful.
like that's a strength of living with no income. So how do we embrace the struggle to make it a strength, or make our pain our power? Like, if you have ideas on like this example,
Yeah, I think
what are the thoughts?
yeah, I think it's literally sitting down and figuring out what did you learn from this, and then making change. And when you make change, you start to see success. You can reflect back and be like, okay, had I not stumbled here, I wouldn't know this,
Right.
right? And yeah, so for us, losing some money, not having as much money, well, it meant that some of our family activities, we had to look for free places to go. We would have to drive up to Poudre Canyon and just sit on a rock and stare at the river. So we appreciated nature more. Whereas before, maybe we'd go, do something. Maybe we'd go to the movies, or maybe something that costs money. Well, okay, now I have to adjust. What can I do for free? What can I do that doesn't cost me as much money? And it's not like I was broke and I didn't have my house. I still had my house. But our lifestyle was drastically going to have to be different while we embrace the change of going from a guaranteed job to not guaranteed,
Right.
guaranteed pay to not having it. And I know that a big part of my success in the future will be the fact that I went through those moments. Right? Like, you talk about writing a book. The book is daunting. The book is like, oh my God, I've never done this. I don't know editors. I don't know how to publish. I don't know cover art, blah, 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 blah. Well, had I not struggled and been like, man, what am I, this book's been on my list forever. It hasn't gotten done. Okay, I don't have these classes. The classes got canceled. Maybe now it's time to focus on the book. Right? I mean, from your struggle becomes your power. 100%. I firmly believe in that. If you're willing to admit the struggle is partially your fault for whatever happened, like, you can say, oh, it was this and that. No, but you got to own it.
Yeah.
And then you got to make changes. You can't sit and wallow in struggle, or you stay there.
Yeah.
And I see just too many people, life, at least for me, life is going so fast lately. Like, every time I feel like I turn my eyes, it's like 6 months after when it was supposed to be. And I'm like, gosh, what happened? The only way to slow life down and to really get the most out of your life is to embrace that you're not going to be perfect. And when you struggle, like, figure out why you're struggling, make changes and move forward.
Right. Yeah, and especially this year for you, I'm sure it
Nuts.
feels like, because had retirement at
Yeah.
the beginning of the year, started the podcast, now 40 episode in podcast, which is like, I think you were saying some ridiculous numbers,
Yeah,
like
we're in
top
like
2% or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah, I think it's the top 3%.
Top 3% as far as volume, as far as episodes that podcasts produce.
Yeah, I think it was 97% of podcasts don't get past 10 episodes.
Wow. So, podcasts with 40 plus episodes.
Yeah.
Published the book, had these struggles that you've never had before, literally
Never.
having everything on the line. And that's an amazing story of making 2 months salary in the first 3 days and then nothing.
Yeah.
Like, if that's not the universe trying to teach you a lesson, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can only imagine how fast this year has been for you, and I'm excited and grateful to be a part of your journey, because
For sure.
that's an exciting year. I'm curious to know too about how you were talking about celebrating. So like one, I got for whatever reason, a picture in my head of my
Yeah.
first job and with a Purple Land Management oil service company in Dallas Fort Worth, Texas. And for whatever reason, that conference room came into my mind, and I was imagining like celebrating a fuck up, like them being
Yeah.
like, yeah, like good job, you didn't get this oil and gas lease that we really need, or something like that.
Right.
Have you ever actually celebrated a failure or a struggle to where like you're celebrating about it?
Yeah. I mean, quite honestly, probably one of the most public failures. I lost my last fight.
You
And
celebrated that.
well, I had to. I had committed, right? Like after every fight, we always had like a place for everybody to go and meet for dinner
Oh,
and
yeah,
get
yeah, yeah.
together. Um, and honestly, after losing, I didn't want to go. The last thing I want to do is go like have a drink and
Right.
thank everybody. But I had to, right? Because it was I was there when I
Everyone was
won.
there.
Well,
Yeah.
and I was there when I won. What kind of person? What would I be teaching people if I only show up to the events you come to see me at if I win and it goes my way?
Right.
And I lost, and I lost like badly,
Yeah.
and I still went. And guess what? I think people respected that more, right? Because I came up short. It is what it is, man. Life happens.
Yeah.
Okay, what did I learn? I moved forward, and I think that's a great point for that you made. Is too many times when we struggle, we fail, we come up short, we want to hide and isolate ourselves. Everybody's failed. You don't know one person has not failed.
Yeah.
You don't know one person that hasn't come up short in something. So why don't we share it? Why can't we be more like, dude, I tried this, it was awful. And you look at our relationship. A lot of why we work well together and things are successful for us is because we're both like, hey, dude, this isn't working, or that didn't work. And it's not a, well, you did this and I did that. It's a team.
Yeah.
And then we're both invested in finding a solution, which goes back to the episode on Circle of Five. If you haven't listened to that, like that's the foundation for just about everything else, is who do you surround yourself with? People that when they fail, people that when we're struggling, blame everybody else, it's never my fault, tend to attract other people that it's never their fault and it's always somebody else's? Or do you surround yourself with people who are like, hey, dude, I came up short, man. Help me out.
Yeah.
What do you think? Right? And to me, that's where actually the fun is.
Yeah.
The teamwork and the collaboration and getting your ideas on stuff and getting the community's ideas on stuff, because I don't have all the answers. And honestly, I don't want all the answers. It'd be pretty boring if I knew everything already.
Yeah.
But if I'm afraid to get out and fall on my face every now and then you actually know all you're ever going to know.
Yep. And that's super boring.
I would think so. I wouldn't want to spend the next 50 years being like, okay, I've already learned everything I'm going to learn, and now I just do it over and over every day.
Yeah. Man.
But how do we take that struggle and make it our power? You got to embrace it. You got to know, one, it's your fault. If you're struggling, there is something you are doing that's putting you there. Is it your relationships? Is it your diet? Like whatever whatever aspect of life you're struggling is, own it.
Yeah. And I think too, for me at least, I can't live a life that's purely pleasure or purely no struggle. Even when I disconnect and recharge and on vacation, I start craving the struggle again. I start craving a workout or craving a good diet or craving even work, and I don't know if that's because I have built these habits to where I can only enjoy so much downtime. And they talk about it too. I was reading, what book was it? I think the Magic of Thinking Big.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how when you stop making goals in your life, especially people after retirement, those are the quickest people to die because they don't have anything that they're setting out to achieve, and there's higher rates of depression in people who are retired.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, because they have no struggle.
And then it's even more magnified for our first responders because they've had such a huge purpose that for many becomes their sole identity. They kind of lose, I'm Jared, the dad, the husband, the volunteer, blah, blah, I'm only the policeman. And then they leave, and now that whole part of their life's gone.
Yeah, and that goes back to what you said of multiple streams of income. think it's important to have multiple struggles, even a little bit in your hobbies. Like struggling in trials.
Yeah.
Coach Jared put me through a tough practice the other night. Struggling a little there, struggling getting my piano game going, struggling a little at Toastmasters, struggling a little
Yeah.
work. To where when you don't have, I mean, we need struggle to survive. I think. I mean,
More than I would even say, you need struggle to thrive.
hmm
To truly be your best, you should be struggling in some
for
aspect,
sure, for sure.
right? But I think what you said is how a lot of people view life. They need to struggle to survive. And I'm
hmm
saying, no, switch your mind. Struggle is going to allow you to thrive
Yeah.
because struggle will push you to the next level. Own it, make changes, and move forward.
Yep.
Um, yeah, it's crazy to me how adverse we are to struggle. And even like you read constantly, dude. Many people listening to the podcast, watching on YouTube, wherever you're at, won't read. Even though we know that reading is a habit of highly successful people
Right.
forever. Most successful people are generally pretty avid readers.
Yeah.
You read, which for many people is a struggle, but for you it's a priority.
Well, it was a huge struggle. I
Absolutely.
used to hate to read. I really did. And it was a struggle for me to get to the habit that I am now of now. It was really audiobooks that set the tone for me
Yeah.
because I can listen more quickly. I can get through more audiobooks. And now I really struggled to build the habits of reading daily. But I have morning ritual, poop and read.
Yeah.
I'm at least reading every morning when I take my morning poop, at least. And sometimes I'll read to take a break from
Yeah.
work for a little bit. I have Canvas Manifesto here, and then sometimes in the evening. But I know guaranteed almost every single morning when I use the restroom. And I recommend that to everybody. Everybody poops. So I recommend when you're taking a poop, get off your phone.
Yeah.
You're on your phone enough throughout the day. That's how I really built my habit of my paper books is like every time I take a poop, I'm reading a
Yeah.
physical book.
And people will struggle, right? Because reading, they want to be entertained. I could watch Netflix or I could read. I could play on my phone or I could read. There's knowledge in these books. But even a little struggle like that people know will be beneficial is hard to overcome at times. And just like you said, start little habits, start little goals, and start getting after it.
Yeah. Yeah, even super small struggle. If you're starting from bare bones nothing, you don't read at all, you don't work out, you don't monitor your diet, start very small. Even 1 page a day, that's a start. You can build from that. Once 1 page is too little, you can go to 2 pages. If you're not dieting, 1 good meal a day. If all you eat is fast food, have your McDonald's breakfast, whatever. Have a good healthy meal for lunch, and then whatever you want for dinner. I think that's what happens too. Is people wait to have everything perfect, right? Like I have a buddy of mine who's like, oh well, I'm not gonna start on my fitness journey until I can afford to hire a personal trainer and until I'm gonna go all in. Blah, blah. That's not how life works.
No.
We have to build. You're not just going to go from 0 to 100 real quick. You need to take small steps, and I think that goes for any facet of life.
Absolutely. So I think if you're listening to this, obviously we're coming close to the end of the year. Instead of setting some New Year's resolutions, why don't we look at our struggles? What are the things that we're currently struggling with? And identify them, identify what we own in that struggle, what changes we can make, and let's start attacking our own struggles.
Let's do it.
Because I guarantee your buddy, if we check in March, is probably no closer to his fitness journey than he was when you last talked to him.
Right. But if he had, since I last talked to him, 2 workouts a week.
Even if he just started walking during his lunch hour.
Yeah.
Take the stairs. Like little things will get you there. And I think you're absolutely right, Ali. A lot of times we want to tackle the biggest issues, right? And we want something that's going to produce the greatest result. And we want it to happen in one big thing. I'm just going to change my diet tomorrow and I'm going to get in shape. Well, no, you're not. Right? Like you're going to need to change one small meal. You're going to need to exercise a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit. Like it's a small increments. And that's the same for most of our struggles. Most of our struggles will be solved by consistently doing the small things that will lead you there. And, when I look back at like say the book is an end product. there were so many little struggles where I could have quit along the way. Or I could have said, well, I won't write my book until this is done and that's done and this. Well, I never got it done. It's a series of overcoming small struggles get you to where you want to be.
Yeah. Daily.
You know?
Daily struggle. The daily struggles. You ready for some purposeful practice?
I think they're ready
For
for
the
it.
team, let's get it in. Again, we are giving out free On Purpose Podcast t-shirts. Well, it's not free. In exchange for your purposeful practice, show us that you're willing to take 10 minutes to struggle your mind a little bit to practice some of these purposeful concepts, and you may have a purposeful t-shirt in your mailbox. So get that submitted. And the purposeful practice for this week is to, number one, take inventory of how you are viewing your struggles. Number two, are you empowering yourself to make them your strengths? And number three, what past struggle is now something you're proud of? And I love that question because I think everybody can probably think of at least one thing where it seemed like a struggle and now they're really proud of it. So get that purposeful practice, and then most importantly, email your practice to onpurpose.official@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, you have a Merry Christmas, my friend.
Thank you,
we won't
sir.
see you again till afterwards. Same to the community out there, or whatever you guys celebrate this time of year. We're thankful for you, and we're thankful for you being part of our journey for 40 episodes, and we are excited for what's next.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. All right, team. Remember, life is far too short to live any other way than on purpose. Take care, and we'll see everybody after Christmas.